All right, so you're looking for some insights on the recent election and what it might mean for the future.
Definitely.
And, well, our source today is this recorded commentary.
Okay.
And it offers a really interesting perspective on this idea of a
Huh.
return to normalcy. I think you'll find it pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, I think what's interesting right off the bat
Yeah.
is how the commentator sort of defines normalcy.
Right.
They contrast the peaceful transition of power with all these like horror show scenarios that
Right.
were, kind of predicted before the election.
Yeah, and I think they're pushing back against specific media narratives
Oh, yeah, for sure.
that were circulating at the time.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting is
Yeah.
they actually get into some specifics about those predictions.
They do. They mention fears of like widespread civil unrest and challenges to the electoral process, even like potential economic instability. And what's really striking is how they use the actual outcome of the election, with its smooth transition and lack of major disruptions to kind of debunk these predictions.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, look, reality didn't match the hype.
Exactly.
And they use that to build their argument for this return to normalcy
Yeah.
under Trump's leadership.
Right. It's like a strategic way of framing their perspective as grounded, in fact,
Yes.
rather than, speculation or fear-mongering, which then sets the stage for this broader argument about a cultural shift back towards these more traditional values.
Okay, so then they move on to these really interesting details about Trump and Biden's interactions.
Yeah.
Things you might have seen in the news but maybe didn't think too much about at the time.
Right, like they're meeting in the Oval Office
Right.
after the election.
Yeah.
The commentator points out that it was amicable, even cordial.
Yeah.
They even point out how Jill Biden appeared cozy,
Right.
sitting next to Trump at that Notre Dame event.
And they have this playful tone, like suggesting that maybe Biden secretly voted for Trump. Obviously, that's meant to be humorous.
Right.
But it does highlight the contrast between these seemingly positive public interactions and the often really heated rhetoric
Uh-huh.
that we saw during the campaign.
It's interesting to think about how these small moments can influence public perception.
Yes.
Even if they don't reflect, behind-the-scenes realities, they contribute to a certain narrative about the new administration.
And speaking of narratives, they really latch onto this quote from Trump about unity through success.
Yeah.
It's like they see it as the core message of his presidency.
And if you kind of connect this to the bigger picture, it's fascinating to see how political rhetoric can shape national sentiment. It sets expectations, influences behavior, and can even contribute to a sense of shared purpose.
So then the commentator brings up some specific examples of what they consider to be a return to justice and normalcy.
Right.
And this is where things get even more interesting.
Yeah.
They focus on two cases in New York City.
Okay. The acquittal of Daniel Penny and the arrest of